In a world where wolves bow to power, one woman dares to defy fate itself. When the Northern Alpha arrives, bringing with him an aura that bends the strongest warriors to their knees, Serenya discovers the unthinkable, her mate. But she doesn't see a bond. She sees chains. Will she surrender to destiny or fight for her freedom, even if it means risking everything? Chapter 1. The Arrival of the Northern Alpha. The air felt different that morning. It wasn't the kind of change that came with weather. No hint of rain, no storm brewing in the sky. It was heavier, sharper, almost electric. The entire Stormfang Pack could feel it humming beneath their skin. Wolves moved restlessly around the training grounds, warriors straightening their stances, younger wolves whispering nervously. Everyone knew why. The Northern Alpha was coming. Serenya leaned against the old wooden fence at the far edge of the grounds, arms crossed, her braid falling carelessly over her shoulder. From where she stood, she could see the restless shuffle of the gathered warriors, could hear the gossip that passed from ear to ear. He's the strongest alpha in the north, did you know that? They say he can take down an entire patrol single-handed. They say his wolf is massive, pure black, eyes like ice. I heard he's never let a female near him, not one. Serenya rolled her eyes and muttered under her breath, "And what do I care if the great alpha Kaelen Blackthorn keeps his bed cold?" Her wolf stirred inside her, restless. "Respect him, little one. He is power." "Power doesn't impress me," Serenya shot back and thought. "Freedom does." She wanted no part in the worship of alphas. She had been born the daughter of a beta, raised with the expectations of loyalty and obedience. Her brother Kaelen was already stepping into her father's role as beta, training with the warriors and sitting in on council meetings. And her? She was a shadow in her own family, overlooked, tolerated, pushed toward the future her parents imagined for her. But Serenya had her own dreams. Dreams that didn't involve being bound to a stranger by the so-called sacred mate bond. Her parents had struck a bargain with her after years of pleading. If she didn't find her mate by the time she turned 21, she would be free to choose her own groom. Serenya had clung to that promise like a lifeline, the only thread of choice left in a world ruled by destiny. 3 months. That was all the time she had left. 3 months of freedom. The crowd's whispers stilled suddenly, as though the forest itself had hushed. Then he appeared, Kaelen Blackthorn. He strode into the grounds with the weight of a storm. Broad-shouldered, towering, his presence was like gravity, pulling every gaze to him whether they wanted it or not. His black coat shifted with the breeze, his dark hair tied back at the nape of his neck. But it wasn't his appearance that silenced the crowd. It was his aura. Power radiated off him in invisible waves, sharp and cold, commanding submission. Wolves lowered their eyes instinctively, spines bowing ever so slightly. The air seemed thinner, harder to breathe, as though the very world acknowledged his dominance. Serenya should have looked away. Everyone else did. But she didn't. Her gaze met his across the grounds, and in that instant, her world fractured. The scent hit her first. Pine needles after rain, smoke from a midnight fire, crisp frost from a mountain peak. It filled her lungs, made her knees weaken, her pulse race. Her wolf surged forward violently, almost clawing to get out. "Mate!" her wolf howled inside her, the word echoing like a roar. Serenya froze. Her hands clenched against the fence so tightly her knuckles whitened. No, 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 no! This couldn't be happening. Fate couldn't be so cruel. But Kaelen had felt it too. His silver eyes, glinting like frozen moonlight, locked onto her. His stride faltered, only for the barest second, but she saw it. His jaw tightened, his nostrils flared as he drew in her scent. Recognition. He knew. Serenya's heart thundered, her throat tightening. A part of her wanted to sink into the pull, to let her wolf rush to him and bury herself in the safety of his power. But her mind screamed louder. Not him. Not this alpha. Not anyone. She turned. She ran. Serenya didn't stop running until the murmurs of the pack and the heavy aura of the alpha disappeared behind her. Her lungs burned, her braids slapped against her back, and her boots pounded the dirt path that cut through the forest. She knew every twist and curve of the woods surrounding the Stormfang Pack. It was her refuge, the place she had hidden in as a child when she wanted to escape lessons, the place she had slipped away to as a young woman when she wanted a breath of air that wasn't heavy with expectations. But today, the forest couldn't soothe her. Her wolf clawed at her chest, furious. Why did you run? He is ours. He is strength. He is protection. He is chains, Serenya hissed aloud, doubling over to catch her breath, her palms pressed against the rough bark of an old oak. Don't you understand? If I give in, I'll never be free. I'll never get to choose. Her wolf snarled, restless, unhappy. But Serenya had learned long ago that wolves didn't care for choice. They cared for instinct, for survival, for bonds written in their blood. She wasn't ready to surrender her future to a bond she hadn't asked for. A twig snapped in the underbrush. Serenya's head jerked up, heart still hammering. For an instant, panic flared. What if he followed me? What if he found me already? But the figure that emerged from the shadows was not Kaelen. It was a woman cloaked in deep green, the hood pulled low over her face. Her steps were soundless, her presence both strange and familiar. Serenya knew that gait. She had seen these women before, if only from a distance, keeping to the edges of gatherings, vanishing when the alpha patrols came near. The witches. Running from fate, little wolf? The woman's voice was like wind through dry leaves, rasping but not unkind. Serenya straightened, weariness prickling down her spine. What business of yours is it? Another figure slipped from the trees to her right. Then another. 3 women in total, cloaked and silent, surrounding her with a circle that felt less like a trap and more like inevitability. We felt the bond snap to life. The alpha of the north has found his mate. The world will shift. No, Serenya shook her head sharply, braid whipping over her shoulder. The world won't shift, not for me. I won't let it. The third witch chuckled, low and throaty. You think you can refuse the bond? Child, it is written in your very blood. The moon goddess ties souls that even death cannot unravel. Serenya stepped back, though the tree pressed hard against her spine. Then, untie it. The witches tilted their heads in unison, like crows regarding a shiny trinket. The first one spoke again, voice soft, coaxing. Do you understand what you ask? To bend fate is no small matter. The bond may be dulled, hidden, blurred from sight, but it cannot be destroyed, not truly. That's enough. Serenya's hands curled into fists at her sides. Her voice shook, but she forced steel into it. I don't need it destroyed. I just need time. 3 months. If I can resist the bond for 3 months, if I can make it to my birthday without yielding, then I'll be free. My parents promised. The witches glanced at each other. The second one stepped forward, lifting a hand from her sleeve. Silver rings gleamed on long fingers. Freedom bought with lies of delay. Do you truly think you can ignore the call of your wolf for so long? I'll do whatever it takes. Serenya's voice cracked. She hated how desperate she sounded, but it was true. The memory of Kaelen's silver gaze still burned in her mind, searing through her resolve. If she didn't do something now, she knew her will would crumble the next time he looked at her like that. The witches conferred in whispers too faint for Serenya to catch. Then the first one stepped closer, so near she could see the pale line of a scar across the woman's throat. "We will give you what you ask, but remember this. Every spell carries a price. You may not see it today or tomorrow, but fate is not kind when you spit it in its face." Serenya swallowed hard. "I'll pay it, whatever it is." The witch reached into her cloak and drew out a small vial of liquid so dark it looked like ink. She pressed it into Serenya's palm. The glass was cold, the substance inside sluggish as it clung to the walls. "When the moon rises, drink. Your wolf will sleep beneath the spell, quieted. The mate bond will weaken, his pull will blur. But beware, when the spell fades, it will not do so gently." Serenya closed her fingers around the vial, her heart thundering in her chest. 3 months. That was all she needed. 3 months of freedom. She bowed her head slightly, not in respect, but in raw, shaky gratitude. "Thank you." The witches melted back into the trees, vanishing as silently as they had come. Serenya stood alone in the darkening forest, the vial heavy in her hand, her wolf thrashing inside her chest with fury and grief. "You're making a mistake," her wolf whispered, but Serenya raised the vial to her lips anyway, her voice low, fierce, trembling with the weight of choice. "I'd rather make a mistake that's mine than a fate that isn't." She drank. "The spell is cast, the choice has been made, but fate is never so easily denied. What price will Serenya pay for daring to challenge the bond of the moon goddess? Find out in the next chapter of The Alpha's Reluctant Luna,